All right. So I wanted to talk this evening about something that I've been noticing recently that's been coming up in my world view, I guess, which is the concept of, well, I don't always love to use this term actually, but it's light versus false light. And I guess what I mean by that is, a lot of us out there in the new agey sort of community, which many of us are in, including myself, do channeling and connect with different beings of light. And my personal preference, of course, as many of you know, is in the Akashic Records. And that's where I receive a lot of my information and connect with what I feel is divine light based in pure unconditional love, which is the only way I would have it, right? But one thing I wanted to talk about was that sometimes people, I don't want to be in judgment of others, but I've noticed that there are channelers out there, some of whom live close to me in Maine, who I do not believe are channeling light. That there was one in particular who claimed it was a spirit guide. And the spirit guide in this particular group was telling the group members that like 80% of people on the earth are going to die, and they're going to die on this particular date. And it was in this year, 2023, and telling people that they're going to have to move into the center of the earth because the air would become unbreathable. And even, and I'd heard the unbreathable air part back when I first joined. I didn't join the group. I went to one of the groups. This is a group in Portland. I don't believe they're still meeting, which is good. But I'm kind of calling them out here because I was so horrified about the last thing that I won't even get into that I heard the channeler was saying. But when I first heard about the air being unbreathable, I told the person who was facilitating the group, not the channeler, the different person that was facilitating it and bringing people into the group, and another woman was channeling this entity, was not a spirit guide, but claimed to be. And I said, this doesn't feel right. Like telling people they're going to have to move into the center of the earth because the air is going to be unbreathable seems to me to be creating fear. And even if it were true, if that were going to happen, in my experience, if it's a true light being based in unconditional love, what happens is these beings don't want to scare us, and so they wouldn't tell us that were going to happen because it would create fear. And if that's generally, those who are based in unconditional love or of the light, of pure light, don't want to create fear because they know that that's not helpful for us as we're moving in through our ascension process, moving into our highest expressions of who we are. Being in fear is not of a vibration that is helpful for us. Believe me, I've asked lots of questions in the Akashic Records about, COVID and the whole COVID narrative and what was going on. And I was very concerned about what was being rolled out after that and what was going to happen to people with a certain medical intervention. And I was not shown death, or I wasn't shown anything about COVID in the records, even at all. It didn't come up for me. It didn't come up for a lot of people who do channelings because it wasn't going to be helpful for people to, for us to see that. I've had clients come in sometimes for life between life regressions and even asking this in the Akashic Records, and they want to know about how they're going to die, or if somebody they know is sick and when they're going to die, how or when. And I'll just tell them, we're not going to be able to, that information is not going to be shared with you. It's going to be blocked because it's not in your highest good to hear that, to know when, the time of how we would die and when, and certainly also for somebody else, which is going in their soul contract it would be going in their Akashic Records, which would be an invasion of their privacy, and we just wouldn't be able to pick it up. So I'm very skeptical of people sharing information about specific dates, that something's going to happen on a specific date, because in the spirit realm, as many of you know, time is not linear, it's circular. And the way the spirit realm operates is not in the form, they wouldn't have any concept of, most light beings don't have any concept of dates the way that we think about it. So be careful if you hear somebody saying, oh, this is going to happen on a certain date, or this, especially if it's a bad thing, that's just not, in my experience, again, don't need to listen to me because I'm just a human. I'm sharing my belief. But what I picked up on, and I try really, really hard to connect with light and with love, because I do not want to connect with things that are not of the light, which is why I started working with Archangel Michael so much, and why I chose to really focus on the Akashic Records as my source of wisdom and information. I'd be careful of those who say things with specific dates, or things that create, they're talking about some sort of bad thing. Even, I'm really wary of the guru thing too. And there's a few celebrity spiritual leaders, a couple to be specific, I won't mention their names, who I was kind of disturbed to hear some information about them, about their telling people, their followers or certain employees of theirs, that they weren't enlightened, or they weren't awake, or they, that they were, asleep or something like that. And they had to go through some initiation to become enlightened like them. And they weren't as special as these two leaders were. It's just really not cool. Right. Yes, there are different levels of I believe, at least, spiritual development. There's people who become ascended masters, which is pretty rare, who ascend beyond the needs of ego. I'm sure a monk somewhere, many monks in the world are much more enlightened than many of us. Even somebody just living in, a cave somewhere would probably be much more enlightened than the average, than you or I, because they may have spent a lot of time in meditation and they have this, just transcended ego. But anyway, so I was so disturbed by this group because it really harmed somebody. What they're teaching really caused harm to somebody I knew. And they had a group of followers kind of believing what this person, this entity, was channeling. And it became essentially a cult-like. People were thinking, oh, I don't need to save for retirement because, all this world is going to, or not all these, everybody, all these people are going to die anyway. So it's just really, really affecting people's behavior. And to the point that this entity, through this particular channeler, was telling the group that a person in the group was they were bad, and they didn't even use that word bad. It was worse than bad. But that, turning people in the group against another person in the group, yikes, all kind of red flags. And this is in the New Age community, and people I know were going to this, and it disturbed me greatly to hear that this was happening, and that I had gone to this group once, and I told I didn't return because it didn't resonate, it didn't feel right. But so what I encourage you all to do is to really tap into your own heart, to light, to, if you're not sure, I love working with angels, Archangel Michael, but even if you're not sure about Archangel Michael, don't, it's really, I think what we're really being asked to do is not put our trust in an external, certainly not a person, another human, but to really learn to trust ourselves. And that's what's so tricky about that, is that we've been programmed for over the years, especially starting with public school, starting with the modern workplace, continuing with the modern workplace, to not trust ourselves, and to then we're trained in public school to listen to somebody else to tell us what to do. And we're trained in our societies, to go when it says, when the light turns green, stop when the light turns red, when it says walk, you walk, when I say do this, go do that. We're trained to kind of follow these things, starting with the school bell. The school bell rings, you get up, leave the class. School bell rings again, you go to class. There's these sort of trainings that we've all had, this programming in us, and it's not all bad. Some of it's like, well, we need stoplights for some of that order, but it can go too far, to the point where we are not listening to what our hearts or our intuition is trying to tell us. of like, well, this doesn't really resonate with me. It doesn't feel right, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should keep listening to what this person is saying. Maybe I should keep going to this group. Maybe I should stop. Maybe everybody is going to die, or all these people are going to die. And so I don't need to worry about, retirement's a whole outdated concept anyway, but I don't need to worry about anything because, it's a very like apocalyptic viewpoint to have, and hopeless viewpoint to have if one were to believe that. And this is what I think I talked about this a few weeks ago. Maybe I didn't do a live meditation, but I posted about it with the fall equinox, which is a day of equal light and equal dark. And what many of us are experiencing now is seeing the dark and seeing lots of the, beneath the programming of society, of the mainstream systems in control through the media, especially through governments, through all kinds of like financial, economic, every system you can imagine. There's illusions, right? There's truth beneath the illusions, and then there's the illusions that we're being told, that we're being shown, that are not really totally the truth. But so much of what, and I pick up on this in the Akashic Records, and I pick up on this from Jesus, yes, as a guide for me. And again, this is what I feel, and so maybe I do my best not to tell people what to think, but to share what I believe. And if that resonates with you, then I hope it's helpful in some way. Is that it's been, this has been going on, this sort of programming and having us not trust, and having us being trained, conditioned not to trust ourselves has been going on for a long time. And giving our power away and doubting our own intuition. And feeling like, we don't know enough, and somebody else is more of an expert than we are, has more gifts than we do. And so we're gonna, the doubt can really lead us astray, especially if there's a false light involved. And, I don't want to say that, people who are sharing, spiritual teachings are doing this on purpose. I don't think some of them are. I don't think it's intentional. I think for some it is intentional, but for some I don't think it is. I think there's a number of people who are not aware of what they're inviting in. And they believe that oh, this is cool. I have this ability to channel, to connect with these different beings. I'm going to see what's out there. And there are different vibrations out there, and not all of them are friendly, and not all of them have our best interests in mind. In fact, many of them don't. And I don't, to say the word evil, like I don't think in those terms. I try not to think in those terms, but I think there's ones who have lack of empathy and lack of love, and they're tricksters. It's all about deception. And what I'm talking about is, these could have been deceased people who are now like roaming the earth plane, who become like, disincarnate souls that are stuck and can attach to people. Or there's so many different entities and beings that are out there from different dimensions and planets, and, who knows, right? They're all over the place. So when we start to open up our intuition, we really want to be careful of what we're allowing in. And the deception, it can be tricky. So with the example of this group, with this person channeling this entity who she called spirit guide, obviously it was not a spirit guide, or what I think was spirit guide. The messages at first that were coming through were actually really beautiful, and some of them resonated with me. And I remember thinking, oh, that's I like that. Yeah, that feels right. I like this is good. And then it started coming in about, oh, everybody's gonna have to move to the center of the earth, or the air is gonna become unbreathable and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't know about that, and maybe that's true, but that is coming through as a channeling does not feel right to me. So the way it was delivered, and I was skeptical for a little while, was it the channeler who was just kind of making all this stuff up and wasn't actually channeling anything? And I thought about it, and I was watching her, and I was like, I think she's channeling. I believe something's coming through her, but it's a trickster. It's not what it says to be. It's pretending to be. And then it got even worse as the years. I had nothing to do with this group. I heard about it. It got worse as the years went by. Anyway, so I'm not using the name of this group because I don't want to call them out, but I'm using it as an example because I believe this is going to be more and more important for us to be aware of as the more we, start to open our third eye, all of us start to awaken, or even if, we're not awakening, we're opening our intuition and being discerning. So back to the meditation. Archangel Michael for me has been like the bouncer, like the gatekeeper, and Archangel Michael is known to be all about protecting us from low vibrational energies. In the Bible, whether you believe this or not, Archangel Michael is known to be the one that casts Lucifer from heaven, right? And if you believe in fallen angels, that angel is said, to be, it was one that was of the light, but wanted to be like a god, and went into ego. And in the Bible, if you believe in that concept, which I don't necessarily believe in hell at all myself, but there's some truth about, I believe in the deception part, the deception of this is, here's this, the metaphor of eat this apple, Eve, right? And then it's going to help you. It's going to give you eternal life. Oh, that's great. I want to do that. And then it doesn't do that, or anyway, but there's a lot of deception. So when we come, you can work with Archangel Michael, which is a great way to have to make sure that love and only love can enter. And you can also work with just your own intention and your own vibration. And just if you're opening up, trying to connect in, just setting that intention, love and only love may enter here. I only allow love to come in my space. And if you're, if you're trying to connect, then just making sure you're saying that all the time and bringing that light in your body. And I love to say prayers because the words really create the vibration. I use the word God, the Holy Spirit of God, and love and only love, and things like that, to make sure that anything that's not of that vibration just can't come in. It's like the sun, we become like the sun. We become so strong, shining off that light, giving off so much light that whatever is not of that light just burns off. So, all right, let's take a moment and do a little meditation just to feel what that feels like. This is going to be similar to what you're used to me if you listen to these, what I normally do, but I want to just bring that in for you now. And before I do that real quick, I just want to say, I'm actually in a few weeks, I'm doing a retreat called the Soul Exploration Fall Retreat. We'll be doing all sorts of meditations like this, connecting with the past life, connecting it with angels in a group. It's going to be a beautiful opportunity to practice doing this with some high vibration food, rock cacao ceremony. It's just a wonderful opportunity to be with a high vibration group of other people. There's a few spots still left. We're filling it up. We're aiming to fill it up. Cheryl and I, who does all the cooking. So if you're interested, I'll put the link in here. And also, quick thing, free hypnotherapy class. If you're not in Maine, you can't come to this retreat, which is, by the way, in this beautiful, huge house on the ocean that I rent in Freeport. Beautiful, beautiful spot. I'm doing a free how to clear inner blocks with hypnotherapy class in a few weeks, in mid-October, and it's free online class, experience hypnotherapy. You want to put that out there, so I'll put that link in here too. Okay, back to the meditation. So you can close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Slow exhale out. Do that a few more times. Expanding, opening the lungs, and then slowly emptying them out. And allow your breath to flow naturally as it wants to on its own. Just observing what's happening as you're allowing the breath to move. Observing the thoughts probably still bouncing around in your head. Beginning to let them settle. Like a really active pet or child that's bouncing around all day, and then they finally hit that wall and go lie down for a nap. We've all been there. Settling in at the end of a busy day, just letting your energy settle. Letting the thoughts settle. Letting them lie down, letting them rest. And giving your mind a chance to expand. Giving that space, that openness, a chance to blossom. And begin right away now to plug in to light. So plugging in like you're plugging into a cord into an outlet. Plug into the divine source of light. And you can do this any way you choose. And there's many images. You can imagine that light flowing through you, or that you're drifting up to that source, that beautiful, unbelievably majestic, unimaginably gigantic ball of light that is all that is within us, that is around us. It is the I am presence. Just beginning to connect with that. It is love. It is pure love. And allow this light to flow through your body. Allow it to expand in your heart. Like a beautiful ball that's spreading through your bloodstream. Allow it to flow in through the top of your head, spilling down, around, inside, and flowing outside your body, like through every pore. You're just immersed from the inside out in this light. Soaking it up at every possible level. Beyond the cellular level, beyond dimensions, beyond lifetimes, and all that you are, all that you have been. You are this light, and you're just activating it. And remembering what it feels like to be one with this light. You are that source. You are that expression of oneness. Breathe into it. Soak it up. Expand out into it. Feel it pulsating through you, reverberating from you, flowing in and out. You can even put your hands up, palms facing up, which is a beautiful way to just be open to receiving. Remember that this is your natural state of being, in this place of oneness, of love, which is just being and feeling open, feeling healing and acceptance of yourself, and a connection with all that is, even the computer and the table and the lamp, with each other who are listening now, you and me. You're all connected through this light. I'd like you to imagine this light from deep within the depths of you, somewhere in the center of your being, is speaking to you. It wants to give you a message. It wants to tell you in its voice something. Or maybe it shares with you an image. Or maybe it hands you a piece of paper with a message on it. But feel this expression, the source, the creator, around you and within you, wherever it feels like it's sending you this message. Maybe it's both. What does it want you to know right now? Even asking, what do you want to share with me? How can I know it's you? How do I know? How do I recognize you? Just some possible questions you can ask. Taking a moment just to ask and receive. The immense power of this source, of this unknowable, almighty source is beyond words. It's unfathomable. And the source wants us to know, at least it wants me to know, and I'm sharing it with you. It wants me to know that I will know when I am connecting with source, or that which is of the source. When I feel this similar resonance and feeling in my body, the openness, the expansion, the unconditional love, the awe, and the power. It's a feeling, it's a resonance. So take a moment to really seal this in. Maybe even put your hands over your heart, just or anywhere in your body that feels right, to just really seal it in to your inner knowing, to your essence, that this is what God feels like. This is what the source of pure love feels like. And it is within you. Taking a deep breath in, you may even feel the presence of angels around you. Archangel Michael is kind of guiding this, as angels are simply expressions, extensions of this energy, a way for us humans to really more easily, tangibly understand and connect with the source. And so giving thanks to God for this beautiful light, for being with us, to the oneness, to the most divine, to the most high. You can bring your hands in prayer position to your heart center. And bowing in gratitude and silently giving thanks in whatever way feels right to you. You can come back into your body by just stretching out, moving your hands and feet, and opening your eyes whenever you're ready. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's really beautiful when we just connect with the source. I'm seeing some comments here. Yes, Cheryl. Yes, it does need to be called out. Hi, David. Hi, Roberta. Very welcome. So thank you all for listening. I don't often do that for some bizarre reason. I don't connect directly with the source in that way. I connect in through the Akashic Records, but just connecting in with that power, with that light, with God is really, really important. And when we feel that, then we can know that we can bring that light with us into all that we do, into all that we are, and know that it's not, we don't need to seek it outside of us. We don't need to go listen to somebody to tell us how to connect with it or what to do with our lives, that we begin to know and trust what to do within, because we have all the knowledge we need. Good morning. Hi, thank you for being here from Pakistan. That's cool. Beautiful, far away. So continue, to trust yourself and to be discerning and bringing in that resonance, carrying that resonance with you when you're doing your own channeling or listening to any other channelings. Ultimately, that's going to be what really sets us all free, when we take personal responsibility for our actions, stop giving our power away, start trusting ourselves. So I hope this was helpful in some way, and thank you again for being here with me. Look forward to connecting with you all again. I'll be here. I might change up the times of when I do this to like the second and fourth Wednesdays or something, because I realize the first and fourth is in. They're both right after each other, and then there's a big gap in between. Anyway, and hope to see some of you in this hypnotherapy class we'll be doing. Looking forward to that. We'll experience some hypnosis to reprogram out some of that conditioning. And if you are in Maine, or if you want to come to Maine for the retreat, we'd love to see you there too. All right. Many blessings. Much love. Bye.